I'll use as an example. So if you're here in Honda, and this foot, so we talked about you've got to like engage your calf, your soleus, your ankle, a little bit of extension, and then pull. This leg has to pull, and that's easier, of course, if it gets to a steeper angle. So that's why you'll often see this drive push you into that angle so you can pull better, right? If you open this foot first, one, you've told your opponent you're stepping, and two, now this action is now weaker. This is weaker than that. So that versus that. It's just not as mechanically, it's not as efficient. So we don't want to do that. Sometimes if your ankle is just not flexible, maybe you have to, right? But worst case, try not to, and just practice that, and then when you get to here, allow it to open up, rather than opening up at the beginning, because now that's going to make your initial action slower. So we want this, squeeze, boom, and then drive through it, okay? So pay attention to the foot as well. Yes. Sorry, question. We have a question.
On the end, should we straight or should we a little like that?
I would say straight.
Straight.
Yeah. So, and the reason is, it's a great question, because if you rotate, your mass is coming like a wall. And now if you rotate, this one stops, and this one is gone. So you get more reach, but you lose a little of the mass.
Real power.
Yeah. So if you can keep it like just a bam, 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 and then if you need to change it for more reach, that's a compromise you can make through kumite or something. But the basics, kihon and kata, basically step and shoulder. Sensei talks about we have shifting power, we have rotation, we have vibration, and dropping, rising, and pinball. Right? So, and they're combinations. Like sometimes there's a little bit of this, a lot of that, and a little bit of that, and a lot of that. Right? But if you sometimes mix it and get too much vibration with the shift, then it gets it gets confusing. Not to you, but to physics. Right? So physics says, I don't know, are you shifting, or are you vibrating, or are you rotating? What are you doing?
Yeah.
So don't get physics confused. Keep physics simple. I'm just gonna run up there and hit. Don't do extra stuff that doesn't do much. Right? You don't need vibration with a shift. You need a vibration when you don't have action space. When you have a very short space and you don't have room to make a shift or a pure full rotation, then you can do vibration. I'm not getting into that or not. Listen. Okay? All right, so you got the idea. So posture is important, stance is important, and then I want to talk a little bit, we've talked about it some already, but a little bit about snap. Okay, so, and we talked about why we make this twist that helps you engage your body, more muscles, more mass. That is also, that acceleration helps make the snap. Now, so look at this one. Is that a snap? Yeah, that has snap. So you can make snap without doing the twist, but you can make more snap with the twist. So it doesn't mean that you will always have to do the twist. Sometimes if we've talked about, if you're in a short technique, you might get vertically shorter, you might get underhanded, longer, full rotation. So that depends a little bit on the distance. But that snap is, again, shortening that delivery time so that it's the same amount of momentum, but over a shorter amount of time, more impact per square inch over time. Right? So we can make snap by starting at the end, just getting that happening, and then getting that elbow lined up with the shoulder, and then getting the hip, and then the leg, and then the pulling arm, and then you get as much muscle contribution to the movement as possible, which gives you the greatest snap, which gives you the shortest delivery time. Now, can the delivery time be too short? From a physical standpoint, no. But from a mechanical standpoint, yes. Because our body is not like that billiard ball. It's like 70% water. So in order to get it to act like a solid mass, that's why you have to engage all these muscles and get the structural alignment to make that emulate like a solid mass. But, and this part's controversial, so you can think about it and then throw it out, or you can say, okay, maybe it makes some sense. But if 70% of water in your body, no matter how well you manage it, it doesn't act like a totally solid mass, like a piece of steel. Right? And since I used to talk about, like, if you get hit with a 40-pound blanket, you might get itchy, but it won't hurt you. Right? But if you have a 40-pound steel ball and it drops in the same, say, 10 feet on your head, you're dead. Right? The difference is the time that the weight or momentum takes to transfer to the target. So regardless of how good you are, and you can be very, very skilled and get it very, very short. But if you get it too short, you will get the drive there, and since I talked about this being a rabbit punch. So, and the reason that a rabbit punch can be effective is because it can be very short, boom. And you hit a hard target and it might work okay. But if I hit a softer target, boom, it's like, but no real damage. Because there wasn't enough time for the rest of my mass to get behind the technique. Right, so here, it's very short, but I don't need a lot of mass because he's got a totally hard target. Right, but here, unless he's a muscle builder guy, he's got abs of steel, it's not. So here, you've got to deliver it, and it's got to take about 1/10 of a second for the rest of the water in your body to kind of catch up in a wave, and then you can recover. So you don't have to go boom and keep it there for 3 seconds, but you have to keep it there for 1/10 of a second. Boom. That's less than 1/10 of a second, that's like 100th of a second, and you can make it a good snap and pop, but there's no damage. He will maybe be annoyed, but he won't be hurt. Now you can do it more on the face because again we have hard targets. Right? But if your body, if you try to do a rabbit punch, you're going so fast that your mass can't catch up to the delivery mechanism. So that's something to think about. Now, in tournaments, if we're making full contact, like MMA, you rarely see them go, bam. You might see a jab that does that, but normally it's like, bam, bam. They're digging in because they have to make it work. If there's no contact, you can make it look really sharp and really fast and really snappy. It doesn't have to work, it just has to look good. Right? So there's a difference. So it's the same idea. If somebody's really trying to kill you, would you hit them bam, or would you go bam? You want to take them, you want to make sure they're totally out. There's no chance for them to recover. There's no if, maybe it'll work, maybe not. It's like, it's got to be effective. Right? So Sensei John talks about like a rattlesnake. A rattlesnake, and you have a gun, he's right there. And you shoot him, bam, and take the gun back. Well, the gun isn't ready to fire, it's straight up in the air. Well, so the idea is we punch and you're ready to fire again. But from here to here, you're not ready to fire again. So you've wasted a whole half count, and now you've got to get a whole half count to get back to where you were. So even if you do a snapback, it should be into more your kamae position. So you're bam, back to this position rather than back to this position. This is a little bit more showy, so it kind of works. But for effectiveness, you want to keep your hands between you and your opponent as much as possible. Right? So when something does the technique, you always have something ready to go. Never out. Now I've got to go all the way back and all the way back again to do a block or a counter. It's just something to think about. But if you're thinking about self-defense, often we block and counter at the same time. So rather than, in basic kata or something, or karate, we block and then we counter. Right? But if in self-defense, if he's coming to hit me, block and then counter, block, and then the second punch is coming. So I block, and the second punch is coming. So we're both just doing the second punch. Right? So self-defense, it has to be instant. Same time, or so fast afterward that he can't do that reaction to the second technique. And then if we can, move into a different position so that you're no longer in range of the next weapon. So, all that being said, so now I want you to grab a partner, and I want them to do just any single slow technique. And I just want you to use your footwork to move out of the way. Hover. If you want to do a technique, you can add that in, more advanced guys, little lower belts. Just don't be where, here's the punch, he's coming, be somewhere else. Be somewhere else. Okay? Right. Grab a partner, just use your footwork now. Keep good posture, and a good make, and then when you do move, make a good stance. Remember stance, posture, stance.